This is the Backlog Exposed podcast, bringing you weekly discussions on gaming, as well as quick insights into sports, entertainment, and anything else that we can think of. To get in touch with us, ask questions, or just hang out and chat, join us in the Backlog Exposed Discord. Follow us on Twitter at @TheBacklogPod, or send us an email at thebacklogexposed@gmail.com. You can find all of our social media information, as well as many different ways to listen to our podcast by visiting our website, thebacklogexposed.com.
I'm Joe.
I'm Kevin.
And we are
The Backlog
Exposed. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is The Backlog Exposed, August 27th, 2018. I'm Joe, and we got my man Kevin on the other end. Today, we're just going to run down a couple of things of some of the top-rated games of 2018 so far. Kevin, what you got in store?
I'm going to talk a little bit about an interview I did last night with PSVRlife, which I think was pretty well received, and I think it's going to give us a little bit of a boost, I'm hoping, because they're a pretty popular podcast over there in the VR world. So I'll tell you a little bit about that. And tonight at about midnight, we got something that I've been waiting for quite some time. We got that game dropping, Firewall 0 Hour for PSVR. So I'm excited about that.
I did some research on the game, man. It looks pretty sick. I watched a couple of videos on it. It looks, it's going to look interesting. I think it'll get a good grab of people to
for
start
Firewall?
Playing. Yeah, I think it'll have a good group of people, and I think they'll grab onto it and they'll run with it, man. I don't know what the game hours are. I know the VR is usually less than 20 hours, but hoping that one pushes you guys like 30 maybe, but I don't know. Yeah,
and the replayability aspect of this being more of a online competitive game as opposed to just a story-based mission, it's going to go a long way, I think. I mean, the people are already lining up to get into an esports league for this, and I'm going to actually, once I see the gameplay, see how I am with it, I might look into it and see if I can join in any teams or something.
Hey, before we get started here, guys, I just want to go ahead and reach out to all the Jacksonville people that was either injured or affected in some way with the shooting that was at the 2019 Madden tournament. It just takes one person to run a whole entire day, if not a day, a bunch of people's, lives. Just keep your head up. We're all thinking about you guys out there. Just do what you can do. There might be a GoFundMe account out there for the individuals that was injured, or either way to help the families out for the loved ones they lost. There's a GoFundMe page. Go find it, donate to it, do what you can. Just at least pray for those guys. Keep them in their thoughts. But just want to go ahead and throw that out there at least. Let you know you guys were thinking about you out there in the gaming community.
Yeah, dude, this actually hits really home for me over here because of being in Jacksonville. And just 2 weeks ago, my buddy Jed and I were trying to figure out what to do on a weekend afternoon, and we actually stopped by this gaming place. I think it's GLHF, Good Luck, Have Fun, is the name of the company. And we went in there to go play some games for the day. We were going to plop down on one of those computers in there, and they happened to be closed. Turns out they're really only open on the weekends when they're hosting tournaments. In the daytime anyways, they open up at like 6 o'clock at night. So, that particular day we didn't get to play any games or anything, but we looked around, and it's this little back room inside of the Chicago Pizza there, the restaurant, and it's right there on the waterfront in that area of Jacksonville. My wife works right there, right across the street. She actually visited that Chicago Pizza just on Monday. So it's just really shitty, I guess is the best way to put it. We were playing video games yesterday, Jed and I, and got the text about it. And it's just like, man, we could have been there.
It's crazy though, man. Could you imagine the different media coverage that would have happened if this would have been a Call of Duty tournament?
Oh, good Lord.
Or a Fortnite tournament, or a Battlefield 1 tournament. Could you imagine, which is shitty, that shouldn't be that way, but a video game's a video game, but could you imagine how more intense the media coverage would have blown this out of proportion? Because, he was playing a Call of Duty where they have weapons and guns and blah, 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 and he must have just wanted to kill people. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you what, man, those Madden tournaments, I watched those Madden tournaments and some of these NBA tournaments, they get
real.
Yeah, they get real heated, man, more than any other gaming.
Think about it. In Call of Duty, Call of Duty, Battlefield, Fortnite, there's skill involved. But when it comes to the football games, Madden, NFL 2019 or 2018, whatever you're playing, there's skill and there's also knowing exactly what's going on. Mm-hmm. When they call those plays, that's a real play.
We were kind of talking about that, last podcast, weren't we?
Yeah, man. When you play NFL games or basketball games, you have to know the game. You can't just go in there, give the controller to somebody, and they score touchdowns.
Yeah, you can't just mash buttons. You walk out there with 0 points.
Button mashing, dude. When it comes to sports games, there's no button mashing, dude. You have to know what's going on. Yeah. But you're right. Those tournaments, man, they get heated pretty quick. I mean, a lot of money on the line, and people got stuff to prove. But obviously, it ended in a way that it shouldn't have ended. But
I'm not sure if you heard any of this, but I was reading through some of the stories, and turns out there's some history between the shooter and one of the guys that got murdered. And I guess just a couple of years ago, there was a tournament where this guy that shot, the David, whatever his name is, doesn't matter, but the shooter ended up losing. He had 3 chances to make it to the national level, and one of the guys beat him. And then another guy beat him, and then the other guy beat him again. So he missed all 3 opportunities. All he needed was 1 win. And so then afterwards, the 3 people were going to go home in an Uber. And I guess they were messing with him or something. And they jumped in the Uber and closed the door and took off before the kid could get in. And so
again, that goes to bullying, man. See what I'm saying? There's always a backstory to all this stuff.
Yeah. And so who knows if that actually contributed to it. But here's the thing. The game that this kid lost in the semifinals yesterday, the game he lost, had he won that game, he was going to play the kid he killed. So, and that was the kid who was messing with him 2 years ago. And so, remember we said, I think, many different episodes, what is the point of this? Don't fight with people. We're just video game players, we're, why get on here and trash people and stuff?
It is, man. You got people that...
If you're playing Madden or whatever, and you realize that the person you're messing with isn't taking it kindly, back off. That's it. I mean, yeah, if you're a trash talker and you're playing with another trash talker and you know that
absolutely, have fun with it.
Yeah, you can go back and forth.
You gotta know your audience, man.
But I mean, I guess this kid was pretty unstable. I mean, all these things are hearsay, and all these things are hearsay, and it's just stuff that I'm reading on the internet. But
I mean, it'll all come out in the end, and it's just tragedy that should never have happened,
Yeah, this one story I'm repeating is straight from the horse's mouth. One of the guys that was involved in that moment tweeted about it and said, this happened. I did this 2 years ago with this kid, and I'm glad I didn't go to this tournament because I probably would have been one of the people, one of the victims, because he was going after this other guy. So it's sad. Again, like you said, our condolences to the families and anyone impacted by this. And I hope it does not put a damper on any future tournaments
other
and things
gaming
like that.
Tournaments. And it's just once something like that happens, man, now the whole gaming community is affected because are they going to host a Call of Duty tournament? Are they going to host any Fortnite tournaments now? Are they going to host
the security?
Are
you paying for cops?
Yeah, man, stuff gets so blown out of proportion now. A tournament that was free is now going to cost $50,000 for security and cops and extra whatever. And
I'm watching the news here, Joe. They're talking about closing the entire facility down, Jacksonville Landing. They're saying, what's the future of Jacksonville Landing? That the property owners in the city are questioning whether or not it should remain open. And it's like, this was a random kid from Baltimore, doesn't even live in Jacksonville, came here and caused this. And now they're talking about closing down this huge facility. Even if it's not even going to happen, it's still like the fact that it's one lone person.
That's what I'm saying, man. People just jump to conclusions and blow stuff out of proportion. I'm sure there's a story behind what happened. Either way, no matter how tragic the story, it shouldn't have ended in a shooting. But it's going to come out to like, well, how do you get a gun in there and why and who's it? So, I mean, that's all for them. But hey, I just hate that it happened. But
for anyone, and I've seen a lot of people posting about this, well, where's the security? If you've ever walked into an Applebee's and wondered where the security was, it's the same aspect. This is a freaking restaurant. And in the back of the restaurant, there's a room with a couple of dozen computers and PlayStations. If you thought that there would be a requirement to have security in a place like that, then there should be a requirement for security at your rest stop, at your, Best Buy,
McDonald's.
local McDonald's. I mean, everywhere. I think it's got to be more along the lines of, know what to do, know how to react. And I guess some of the people were talking about how they reacted. Some took off, some ducked for cover and stuff. And I probably would have been dead because I would have, had I been there and I saw a guy raising a gun at people, even myself
included. I'd had to jump in there. I mean, it would have probably ended badly for me as well.
Yeah,
but,
I mean
we say that, we don't know what we would do,
We don't know. You're right.
But
I would just imagine I'd probably not. I don't know. I would just be pissed off, and I would charge them. And I'd probably be on the news with my picture and an obituary. So, I'm glad I didn't show up there. Well, yeah, Jed and I went actually yesterday. We went out to eat for lunch, and had we not gone 2 weeks ago to that area, it's probably a place I would have suggested us to go because, and it was the same time. I mean, it was noon when we were going out to eat. It could have been, the shooting was about 1:30. So what could have, I don't want to be a victim or anything like that. I have nothing to do with any of the shooting or anything like that other than just being in the area and by proxy. But it is just kind of harrowing to think about what could have been.
Well, yeah, dude, it's just up the street from you. What could have happened? What, didn't happen? I mean, a lot of questions are asked now. What else in the local community was around? Was there any child facilities, daycares? Now you got to look at that. You know what I mean? It's just a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so... Hopefully we don't see anything like this for a while, but it kind of seems to be the norm. Once or twice a month here, we're getting these kind of stories.
It's getting kind of outrageous, man. But hey, let's get back into this podcast. Let's get a smile on people's faces here. So, looking through this website, it's called Mashable. I don't know if it's really how rated this site is, but I like looking at random places. It's fun to get top 10 listings of games and all that.
Mashable's a good site, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty decent. I've been reading some of the articles on it, but I'm not going to go over all 10 of them. I'm just going to go over a couple games that I would like to play and I have played. Old school game on here for the Nintendo Switch is Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. I have not played this, but I've talked to a couple people that have, and they said it's amazing.
So,
but it's Donkey Kong, man. It can't.
Oh yeah, Donkey Kong Country.
But amazing.
All those Donkey Kong games from years ago were just so phenomenal. Yeah. So, funny little quick story. I went into Best Buy the other day with my kids, and Wesley, my 3-year-old, walked over, grabbed that exact game off the shelf, brought it over to me and said, "I want this." And I was like, huh. That looks like a good game, it looks like something simple. He's like, no, I want this. I'm like, okay, we'll put it back. I'll think about it. One of these days, your birthday's coming up. And he just comes back with it. I want this. He was so dead serious about.
He was adamant about the Donkey Kong, bro.
Very adamant. I mean, for 10 or 15 minutes, he just kept bringing me this game. I want this. So I let my wife know. That's what he wants for his birthday. So.
Oh, there you go.
Maybe the good Lord will grant him that wish. We'll see.
I know you were on this game for a while, Monster Hunter.
Yeah, Jed and I played that.
I played the demo.
What did you think?
I wasn't feeling it, man, because when I played the demo, it was me and Adam and Ray, and we literally chopped on this monster for like 30 minutes, and it ran off, and then we'd chase it, and we'd hit it some more, then it'd run off, and we did this for like 30 minutes, bro, before we killed this damn thing.
Yeah.
And you didn't get any really thing from it. And I was just like, yo, what is this all about? I'm sure you get later on in the life or game, you get better gear, you get better weapons. I'm sure. But the demo just didn't catch my attention, and I couldn't. So this game is really run with it.
Huge in Japan. And it came over here to really strong reviews, really strong anticipation. It got really good ratings, really good. I didn't see a bad thing about this game. Jed and I picked this up. We were playing together. I'd say I put a good 10 to 15 hours into it. There's a cool story that goes along with it. I don't know if the demo really illustrates any of that, but it integrates this story about becoming a captain or whatever you were trying. You're becoming this monster hunter, and you have to learn how to become this monster hunter. So you incorporate different skills from different people, and you get taught how to do this. And you go out in the field, and you have to chase down the different monsters. And while you're doing that, you could be attacked by other monsters, and based off of your skill sets. and when your tracking skills and all that will determine how good or bad you are at doing it. So the more you do it with certain monsters, the more you track them and kill them, the better you are at killing them. So the first time, it takes 3 or 4 different instances to track them down and take them out, but you get stronger and you get better. It's very repetitive in that sense, in my opinion.
It seems like it.
Because once you conquered that monster, you move on to the next monster, and now you're back to square one. You got to start from tracking and that particular monster. And I felt a little lost in the point of the game. I didn't get too deep into the story. I thought it was cool at the beginning, to learn a bit about it and to move into the hunting aspect. But 3 or 4 monsters in, I just said to myself, this is not a game that I can't keep going deeper. They have such a complex leveling system.
That's like Assassin's Creed with me, man. You're a big Assassin's Creed guy, but I was like, dude, it's like you play 2 missions in a row, you're good, go to the third one, it's the same as the first 2. You go in the city, you climb the tallest mountain or the tallest peak, and then you jump in the hay bale, and I'm like, it's the same thing.
There's a free roam
approach.
The free roam approach of Assassin's Creed allows you to at least explore. In this one, it's like you get this semi-limited map that you just keep going back to. And I don't know, there's definitely appeal. It looks very good. The mechanics are different.
The game looked badass whenever the trailer came out. I was like, oh, this is going to be sick. And then I played it and I got sick.
Yeah. The reviews on it felt a little overhyped to me, but again, I guess...
Well, when you got a game that's already #1 in another country, it's kind of hard not to overhype it if you're bringing it to this state. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard not to.
And also, they've had multiple... This is not the first iteration of this game, so people have been waiting for this version of this game for quite some time. So, it did well. I think it's... I think it did what it was intended to do. I think it fell a little short from some people's eyes, but I think it did most part needed to do. And kind of like Fortnite, they started incorporating outfits and things like that. So there were Horizon Zero Dawn. I don't know if you played that game, but I guess you could, if you did something, you could unlock that girl in Monster Hunter. So little things like that got people, highly into the game. And you see at Comic-Con and stuff, people dress like the Monster Hunters and the really elaborate outfits with giant weapons.
That's pretty badass, though. Here's a game for you, bro. Swords of Ditto or Ditto. You ever heard of that?
No, I haven't.
So check this shit out. I've never even heard of it. This is the first time I've seen it, but it caught my attention because it's cartoony as hell, and it's got a guy holding a sword up, and I'm like, okay. And I start reading the thing. It says, picture The Legend of Zelda, the first one. Now coat it in a layer of cartoon graphics that wouldn't be out of place on Adult Swim. Now build a game into that template where you play a Zelda-esque hero chasing loot that opens up the world and delivering deep into boss-caped dungeons. Finally, make it so whenever you die, it's going to happen. Make no mistake. You start over with nothing.
Interesting. So you start from scratch.
You start from scratch every game, though, is what it's saying. Like, as soon as you die, you go back to zero. I'm like, dude,
that's like
sounds interesting.
The days of old, right?
Sounds interesting, but damn, at the same time, you do all that work.
Yeah, I'm looking at screenshots now of it, and you're right. It does look like a top-down, like a Zelda-esque. Yeah, I mean, it's very cartoony, almost like hand-drawn cartoony looking. Almost
hand-drawn. It looks cool though. You got like the Link's up there with his sword, and you got a guy with a bow and arrow, and you got a freaking rabbit with an eye patch holding a disc. That's what the hell. So there's a lot going on in this picture.
This is one of the top games of 2018. I've never even heard of this.
I haven't either. That's what this website says, man. That's what I said. Mashable. Yeah. I'm not sure how reliable it is, but
this is a PC game, so we might be looking like idiots. Like, you've never heard of Swords of Ditto?
Yeah, it's true too. It is funny. But dude, I would like to get a PC just to play this damn game. It looks awesome.
It looks fun. It does look fun. It looks like a game you could mess around with for quite some time, especially if you die and have to start over. That means I wonder how long the gameplay is if you just make it through the whole thing. Look at this octopus-looking guy.
Yeah, I saw that dude. That dude looks sick.
It looks funny. And then, I'll have to give it a shot.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look that up. I'm going to look some videos up on that because it looks awesome. And then this one, I just seen the other day. I watched a trailer on it. Jurassic World Evolution. Dude, it's like The Sims. It's like The Sims, but Jurassic World.
So this is on PS4, man.
Yeah, I know. This game looks sick. It's either for sale or I watched the trailer yesterday and I was bored. I think it's for sale actually for $60. And
Yeah,
I
it's
watched
out there.
and I watched the actual video of it. It looks good, man.
I
So all you're
watched
doing,
it.
you're researching dino DNA. You build your own park and you watch them grow. I mean, literally, it's The Sims on steroids.
Yeah, and when it came
And you
out,
hope that-
I watched a bunch of videos on it, actually, like gameplay on Twitch and stuff like that. And yeah, Jurassic World Evolution PS4, it's in the store right now, and the price is $59.99. So
Yeah, so I was right. Yeah.
that's why I did not buy it. Just the price point itself is. I'll wait till it comes down in price a little bit, probably. But this is the kind of game I'd love to get into. It's like you said, it's The Sims, but with
Dude, I
dinosaurs.
played the shit out of some Sims back in the day.
So
it was
when I was,
fun.
Oh man! So when I was, I'll tell you a funny side story in a second. The dinosaurs start fighting with each other and stuff, right? So you have to control your park.
Yeah,
and
they,
you have to, like,
break out. So like you have to
Yeah.
shut the park down and like maneuver people and
You have to bring in
rally the
helicopters and
dinosaurs.
fly them
Yeah,
out.
dude, it's freaking sick.
So
Awesome.
funny side story on The Sims. So back in college, I had a couple of roommates. My friend EJ, very, very close friend of mine back in the day, and these two random people. And I won't say their names just for the sake of anonymity or whatever. But anyways, we had these two random people that were living with us, and they were both very different in their own right and very annoying in their own right. And so they were so annoying that we couldn't get rid of them as roommates, so I decided to build our dorm in The Sims. And I locked them in a room and took the door away, and they just sat there while I did my thing in The Sims, and I just observed them as they malnourished until they died, and then they turned into...
Oh my God, that's horrible.
It was so bad.
That's horrible, bro. I'm glad you didn't mention nobody's names. Jesus.
I didn't expect them to die, but they did. And they turned into little ghosts, and they were flying around their closed door room. But the room was so dirty because they kept going to the bathroom in it. That game was pretty
my God.
morbid, man. If you let it get there. So yeah,
I got two more for you. I've already talked about it, so I'm not going to talk about it too much. God of War. That's like rated #1, man. That game, I'm telling you, you're still sleeping on it, aren't you?
Now I'm not sleeping on it, but I have a 50-50 on my poll. We've got 2 whole votes, so I'm waiting for a tiebreaker out there to see what I should be playing next.
God of War is, I mean, I can't even explain it, dude.
I am jumping into that soon, like real soon.
Leanne, my wife, doesn't even like those games, but she literally watched me play probably 30 hours of it because it's that good. Like the story's that good. The graphics are that good. The fight scenes are that good. But yeah, she literally would sit there and watch me play a lot of hours of that game.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna.
Which is weird because,
man,
like I said, she doesn't like that type of stuff. But
there's no reason
that
for me
game-
not to jump in other than time, really. But you're right. It is something that I am sleeping on. I need to stop sleeping on it.
Destiny 2, that DLC came out. I think it's been out for a couple of days now, or a couple of weeks maybe. But
That was your
I don't
jam
know,
for a
man.
while, right?
Dude, I got on Destiny with Ray and Adam, and man, we murdered the first one, right? And then it just got to the point where it's, we'd log on every day and we'd do the dailies, the daily missions. We'd get the dailies done in like 40 minutes, and then it's like, all right, what do you want to do?
Yeah,
we
you
can
like
go around
logging in just
nightfall.
to do it, right?
Yeah, it's just one of those. It's like checking your email on your phone. It's just, might as well, you got your phone out, might as well check your email. You know what I mean? That's how that game started to become to us. Is like we
There's a game
call up
called-
like, hey man.
You played
What's
Neverwinter
that?
with us. You remember Neverwinter?
Yeah, Neverwinter wasn't bad, but I mean, it just got to the point on
it
Destiny.
became that
is just,
same thing. You just
Yeah,
log in just to do those daily things, and then you log off.
and it got
it's like,
so
well,
old, man. We'd jump on 30, 40 minutes, knock them out, and I'm like, hey man, my light level is as high as it can get. What do you want to do? He's like, nothing. And I'm like, all right. So then we quit playing that and we go play Call of Duty or something. But I'm like, it just got so repetitive. But anyway, Destiny 2 came out. Me, Adam, and Ray jumped on it again, and we ran through it, beat it, and I'm just like, yep, same Destiny, just a number 2 on it. I mean, it's the same dailies, the nightfalls, and the Crucible. It just, I don't know, man. The game doesn't have enough playability to it to me. And then I don't know. It's a good game though. The graphics are amazing. Destiny 2, in my opinion, is a great game.
Yeah.
But it's one of those games that needs to have an ending, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
Like it
doesn't, right?
Yeah, you just keep. I mean, you beat the game, but you go back and you keep playing it. It just if they had a situation or a scenario where that game would end, man, that game would be amazing because it is a really good. The playthrough is amazing. I really liked it.
So that's actually a really good segue into something that I wanted to mention here on this podcast. Might be out of place in the timing because do you have any other games you wanted to talk about from that list?
No, man, go ahead.
Okay, so there's a game that just came out for PSVR called Electronauts. And I don't know why I love this game so much, but I do. It's really basic and simple in its purpose. The point of the game is just to go in and you're basically just a digital DJ. You have dozens of songs you can pick from. Some of them are world-renowned DJs. So the songs themselves, you might know the background track to it. But you get these pods that you can interchange different tools, like DJ tools. So you have orbs that make different sounds. Now, they built this game in a way that the orbs themselves perfectly align with the beat. So you can't really make anything that sounds bad. You can try, and you can kind of disturb the rhythm slightly, but it still pulls in and makes something that is listenable. And I jumped into that game planning to play for like 5 to 10 minutes just to see what it was like, and I ended up playing for an hour and a half.
Yeah, man, Electronauts. I just looked at the gameplay of that. That's it's pretty silly.
It is. It's silly. So you can put up like a selfie camera and you can kind of watch yourself. Now, one of the things that I've talked about a little bit in the past here on this podcast is some of these VR games, you don't have arms, right? You have just hands floating in front of you, or you look down and you have no body. This game, you can see your full suit, you can see your legs, you can see your hands, your arms, everything, right? And
yeah, it looks good though, but it just looks real silly.
Yeah, but it's like you're looking in a mirror. So if you bend down or if you bend your knees, it adjusts and shows in the game that you're bending your knees because it knows that you're moving down a little bit.
That's pretty legit though.
Yeah, if you lean to your right, the character leans to his right. So it's so weird how it works, but you actually feel like it's you inside this suit, inside this game. It's very immersive. And then you just start going. You start jamming out. You start hitting the pads or whatever and hitting the different things and making different music. But getting back to the point is there's no tune or tone in the game that ends the song. And the best way I can explain it is that every beat or sound that you're making kind of requires a continuation, like another note, or you feel uncomfortable. Do you know what I mean by that? Like,
yeah, I see what you're saying.
So there's no like conclusion. So you're just playing and playing and playing, and you always want to hit another beat because it's just kind of in the back of your mind that you should. So
that's pretty cool, though.
Yeah, it is. I played for an hour and a half, man, and I loved every second of it. I want to get in there and play some more. I plan on it because there's so many different songs, and each song has a different template for the sounds that you're making. You have these little grenades you can throw, all sorts of things. So anyways, real cheap. I think it's like under $20, worth every penny in my opinion, for just a fun game. It's an experience more than a game. There's no like score or anything like that. The other thing too they need to add is the ability to record. You can't record yourself in game, so you can't really record the music you're making. You would have to.
That needs to be changed quickly.
Yeah,
then.
I think they are working on that, but they need to get that in there sooner rather than later. They should have had that at launch. But the key,
you know how launch always is. They want to get everything they can out. Well, they want to get the most they can out, but whatever they leave behind will eventually come in a DLC or, buyable content later.
Yeah, and some of the stuff is that like Sony has stipulations and requirements on what you can and can't do. So what they do is they cut it down to a bare minimum of what they can do, get the game out there, and then work with Sony to expand it. You see that in a couple of these different games that are trying to come out, like Honor and Duty 2 is this really basic game, but they're going to have I think it's a 32 on 32 or something like that for VR, first-person shooter type game, but it's really cheesy. And it's supposed to be a really big really big map that you can ride tanks and stuff in. VR, but they didn't pass quality control.
That's gonna be pretty sick, though.
Yeah, the they have a arcade edition, Honor and Duty 1. It's so bad, the graphics are so bad, but the gameplay is fun, and the mechanics work. You can use the aim controller to play it, and it was like $1.99 or $2 or something like that when I bought it.
That's all they needed, man. 1 million of you some bitches bought that game.
Yeah, you got $2 million.
And then they doubled their money up, and boom.
That's right. So definitely pick up Electronauts if you haven't already. If you haven't, you don't have to have any musical skill at all. Man, I'm sure you can hear my kids in the background.
Not really, man. You're good. Hey, I did walk by McDonald's. We were talking about McDonald's a while ago. I did walk by Walmart, and I thought about you when I seen the PSVR up there. I was like, man, I should get this and not tell Kevin and play some games and be like, oh, dude, did you play that blah, blah, blah game in VR? It's amazing.
I know you will one of these days.
You probably would shit yourself, but...
I would.
But yeah, man, I mean, what I would be interested in playing is the Guitar Hero version of VR, which is that the one you were talking about earlier. I watched a bunch of video on it where he has the... Yeah, man, that game looks fun, but I think I'd throw up.
No, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. So this leads me to actually talking a little bit about the PSVRlife podcast. So I actually spoke a little bit about that and touched upon the Guitar Hero aspect of it with Danthal. He's the host of the PSVRlife podcast, and you can catch that at PSVRlife.com. And you can listen to the latest episode. I'm on episode 88 if you go to PSVRlife.com/listen. In our podcast, my podcast debut on his podcast, I was able to discuss a lot of VR stuff, and a couple of key things. I won't get too deep into it, but a couple of key things was I was able to talk to the developers of a game called MetaWorld VR. MetaWorld VR is a game that a couple of years ago had a crowdfunding type effort to build a game, a social experience in VR, which was this huge plot of land, this digital plot of land, and you could buy, your own house within this plot of land. And the more you paid, the bigger your house and this and that. I really liked the concept, so I pitched in $12 or something like that to be a founder. Didn't hear a word on this game for the past 2 years. And I kind of forgot about it. I definitely forgot about it. And then I heard them talking about it on a podcast prior. So it led me to find their Discord somehow and then reach out to the creator and get some feedback. It turns out they have a community of about 200 or 300 people that are in this Discord chat, sharing videos, talking about the game and stuff like that. And I just made a plea to the developers, like, you should probably reach out to your paying customers who paid 2 years ago who think that you stole their money. Should probably just let them know you're working on it. And it turns out in a couple of months, they're going to have a demo of this game available to PC players. So, really? Yeah, I mean, a lot of people think this game is dead. It probably, I hope it is something special. It probably won't be. I don't want to get my expectations overhyped or anything like that. In the videos that I'm looking at, it looks cool, kind of, but it's so basic. There's nothing that I'm seeing that blows me away yet. So I'm going to hold my... But
it kind of gets me thinking, though, dude. It's like, it's not going to be fair when it comes to the fact that, like, Ninja goes and buys a freaking house on this game, and then my poor ass goes and buys a shed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what's the ratio of playing here? Is it dictated by who has the most money or the biggest house, or is it, what's going on? Because I think
it's just a social experience, just like life. Well, what can you afford? What can you buy? If you got in early, if you got into your neighborhood early and bought the biggest house, and now everyone else is getting smaller houses for more money, you're the big man on campus. Same thing. I mean, I don't know how much land I bought for the $12, what it's going to be in relation to what other people got, but I hope it's something. I hope I get something, and I hope I get to play the game. I hope it turns into something that happens on PSVR. Again,
that's
like
pretty
I said,
cool, though.
Yeah, there's strict regulations that come along with the VR and the PlayStation, but my plea to them is to make something playable, simple enough, and then build on it rather than try to recreate a world that may never happen. So we talked about that on the podcast, and we also got into quite a few other things. There's a game called Bout of Blood coming out for PSVR, and Danthal gets into a nice long review about that because he got a free code for that. And one of the other things I just briefly mentioned was, and I'd like to get your take on it, Fortnite is, it's a game that's on our friggin' cell phones. It's everywhere.
Yeah, man, that game's everywhere.
Wouldn't it be something else if they just said, you know what, we made a VR version of it? I mean,
that'd be sick.
Yeah, you have Rec Royale, right? The first-person Battle Royale games exist. I guess Dantho was saying that there was one or two on the PC. What if Fortnite just came out and said it? I know they have first-person mode. It just doesn't exist on the Battle Royale world, but it exists in the Save the World. So why not? Put it in VR.
So that's what pisses me off about Battle Royale, though, dude. Is you get people that they peek around corners, and to me that's cheating. So like you got a guy that just sits there and goes up to the corner, and they look around the corner. So like you're trying to sneak up on somebody, but he sees you coming from a mile away because he's standing in front of a brick wall with his camera turned. You know what I mean? On first person, you can't do that. Whatever's in front of you is in front of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Man, I mean, just imagine if that was in Call of Duty, third person. You know how
God.
That would be stupid.
Such a different game.
You could camp in every house and never get hit because you'd be spinning the camera around the whole time.
Yep, I forget what game there was out there that you could do that. Maybe it was Battlefield or something where you could third person it, and you could just peek around walls and stuff like that. And it was DayZ or something like that where.
Or H1N1. No, that's the other one, isn't it?
I think it was DayZ, and the developers were trying to figure a way out because what you would do is just hide behind a wall or a bush, turn yourself so that you could see the other side, just like you do in Fortnite. And if someone doesn't know you're there and they're creeping around, you see them coming from a mile away. But first person, you wouldn't even be able to, you wouldn't know where they're at. So a VR version of this game, the graphics aren't so over intense that it couldn't handle it. The frame rate you get is in the 200s. On most computers. My halfway decent computer gets like a 240 frame rate. The requirement for PSVR is 60. So I'd imagine the PSVR can handle a 60 FPS. I don't see why they wouldn't try. Maybe they are. I just really hope that a big game like that, a company
I'm
takes
sure they've
a
already
leap.
tried it and got it figured out and just waiting on the right time.
I hope so, man. I just want to see. We were talking a little bit about that. Something has to give.
They're in it to make money, dude, and that's all Fortnite's making is money. So,
well, I'll tell you what. There's some things you could do in VR to make some extra money there, man. You just the having that whole aspect of this first person point of view, and I don't know.
Well, I think if they were to make that change in Fortnite to first person, I think there would be a huge following on that.
Hey, give them a skin with VR goggles on or something. People would go nuts. You could use it in the other world too.
I think people would really like that for first person. I know I would. But at the same time, if they do switch it, you're going to have first person lobbies and third person lobbies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So this guy Joe is just awesome. I mean, how awesome?
Real awesome.
Imagine you're the blue cube in Fortnite.
Yeah, dude, that thing is crazy, right? What is going on with that damn thing?
I'm telling you, it's gotta be a Samsung ad. I just keep thinking it's gonna roll over and it's gonna freaking a Samsung Galaxy phone's gonna pop out and everyone's gonna go, Jesus Christ.
Well, Kaylee was at it earlier and it pretty much whooped her ass. It sent her off into oblivion.
Well, there's a funny thing you can do. If you get kind of close to it, you can shoot it, and then the person closest to it gets launched like a mile away. It's really fun. But yeah, there's a lot of different rumors going on about what could be. It seems to be making a straight line for Salty Springs. It looks like it's going to take out Salty Springs. It's not leaving any devastation or destruction in its path. Like the trees and stuff it rolls over, they still exist. So I don't know if it's going to destroy Salty. But it could also veer off towards Loot Lake, Pleasant Park.
Hey, man, I don't know if you've noticed or if you've played in a while, but there's no more Tomato Town.
Yeah, Tomato Temple. What do you think of that?
Tomato Temple. It's pretty cool. I mean, like I said, I haven't been playing in a while, man. This other job's kind of got me busy.
Yeah.
But I jumped on the other day for about 4 or 5 matches, and Tomato Temple looks pretty cool, man. It really does.
Well, they've added a good loot there now, finally. So instead of having just one or two things, like 6 or 7 new chests, and there's a reason to go there now.
Well, I always went there because it was fun.
A lot of activity in that area, but now there's a lot more, which is great, because it's same as Loot Lake. I mean, there's no activity in that.
Dude, there's nothing ever in Loot Lake. Like,
yeah,
there's
they need
3
to get rid
chests and there's 3 chests in the water, 1 by the rock. There's like 6 or 7 chests in the entire Loot Lake.
It's called Loot Lake. It's not loot. There's no loot.
Yeah, dude, you go to like Fatal Fields or one of those places. There's like, you know, a lot more loot.
Now, imagine this. Imagine if that house in the center of Loot Lake had 20 chests in it.
See, that's what they need to do. That'd be awesome.
And then it'd be like the cornucopia in, what's that movie? With the Mockingbird there. To kill, what the hell was that movie called?
You talking about Hunger Games?
Yeah, Hunger Games, man. The cornucopia right in the center.
You gotta be Hunger Games right there, dude. It'd be crazy.
You'd have everyone run to it. They'd try to loot up. There'd be so much loot that you know, you could go to it after everyone's looted it and still pick something good up. I think it'd be worth going to, or at least worth doing. It should be really Loot Lake, and you should fill that thing with chests and put a couple gold drops in there. You'd see people go in there, but then the risk is, you know, you also put some decent loot around the lake as well, so you don't necessarily have to go into the center, and the people in the center are looted up and geared up, but they got to come out.
Would you imagine though if they made that to where you would drop, instead of the entire map, they give you like third to the final circle, maybe second to the final circle area, and they change that area every game, and that's all 100 people has got to go within that circle. Now that would be interesting.
There's a couple different rumors about some new game modes as well, like crisscross, where
I've seen that one.
Yeah, where like the
4 different circles.
Yep, the 4 circles, and they cross, and you kind of got to keep going with them. I think it would be cool to see, like you just said, everyone starts in one spot, but you know what would be neat is if there was like a ring around everybody of portals, and you had to run to the center, get your gear, try not to die, get to a portal and get out of Dodge, you know, get to somewhere safe, and then you don't know where the circle's going to be. So then you're dropping from the sky, the circle pops up, and you got to find your way. That'd be kind of neat.
See, I wish there was something where a new game mode to where you didn't jump out of the bus. You couldn't pick where you wanted to land it. It just spawned you like Call of Duty, and then you'd go from there. That'd be interesting.
See, that was the fun of DayZ. Again, I'll talk about this game because I played the hell out of it a long time ago. But yeah, you just wake up. You don't know where the hell you are. There's no map. You can't resort to, all you can resort to is landmarks. But the game is so big, the map was so big that it took a while before you started realizing where you were. But you still have to run, too. You can't just look up into the sky and be like, oh, this is where I'm at. You got to run. You're bare naked, and you have no food or water. You're starving and thirsty. You got to get to water before you die. And so you're generally looking for food and water before you can even figure out where the hell you are. And it was a cool concept. I always thought that they should do something like that. Take Google Maps and kind of map out the Earth and just have a procedurally generated land where you could be anywhere in America and you have no idea where you're at. You just wake up and you kind of got to use landmarks to figure out where you're at. And everybody
the first person
playing.
to make it to New York or something, that'd be crazy.
Yeah.
First person to make it to like some random spot.
Yeah, I mean, they could be in your neck of the woods, middle of nowhere, Kentucky, and take days to walk out of there. That'd be the true DayZ right there, you know? You have zombies coming at you. Yep. But you could eventually go find and claim your own house.
That would be sick.
That would be sick. And
well, Conan came out, and that's the same concept, the survival. Dude, that game. Good.
You loved that game, man.
No, I sure didn't. Sure didn't. It was something else, dude. It has potential, but I haven't played it since all the new updates and the patches and all that, but
I can't imagine you getting ready to jump back in, though.
No, not at all. I couldn't do it, man. Me and Adam played. I mean, one thing that pissed me off right out the gate was every multiplayer game I've ever played, you hit your map screen, and there's an indicator on where you are and your teammates. That doesn't exist in Conan. You could be 10 feet from each other,
You
and
wouldn't
you
even
can't
know it?
see each other. Yeah, dude. Like at one point, me and Adam was walking side by side. He made a left, and I kept going straight while we were talking for about 2 minutes. And Adam's like, dude, where'd you go? I was like, oh, I don't know. Where'd you go? Took us like a half hour to find each other. I mean,
That's
it's
a pain
just,
in the
it's,
ass.
oh my God, it was so dumb, dude. And then just the graphics were iffy. At some points, you would attack a monster and your club would never even exist. And then it would appear and disappear, and the monster would die and disappear and come back. I don't know. It was bad, man. But it's a fun concept if you're into those games, but I never have been into those games too much, so I really didn't dig into it too deep.
Well, that's an interesting one. The concept itself, is the survival mode, is becoming a thing in a lot of these games, and I bet it's here to stay for quite some time. But let's see how they adapt in some of these different play modes and whatnot. The idea and the concept of the survival mode is cool, but when it becomes so difficult to just survive, like in
Well, then you get into realistic stuff, man. Like in reality, you have to eat and drink to survive. So it's kind of like,
yeah, but it
you're
takes
playing a
days
game
to
that-
die. It takes a while. In these games, it's like you wake up on the beach, you have no idea where you're at, and you must drink immediately. I mean, you can go a little bit longer than immediately. If you're opening your eyes, you got a little ways to go. But
Yeah, I
like
hear you.
in No Man's Sky, I don't know if you played it since, but they added a survival mode, which is, they always kind of had that survival aspect in the game, but they've greatly increased it. So you could play a very hard version of the game in survival mode, where you step out of that thing, man, you could die pretty quick if you get out of your ship.
See, there was a couple planets that you would land on, and it would take your energy or your health after a certain point. And I died a few times on the planets because I got too far from my ship, but No Man's Sky was fun. That was a really good game.
You know what? What do you think
It
about
just got
it?
repetitive too. You land on a planet and you learn the language and find this and find that. But
Well,
it was still really fun.
Every planet had 4 aliens on it. They were one of 3 different races. It seemed like it'd be kind of bored if you were one of those aliens. On top of that, every planet had an unlimited supply of circular orbs that would shoot you. It's like, well, I guess we figured out what took over the universe was these robot orbs, and plenty of them to go around.
Yeah, no kidding.
It would have been cool
big ass robots that I found.
Oh, that's right. Remember that? The mech warrior things that came at you?
That shit was ridiculous.
I forgot about that. You were like, holy
Took me
shit,
like 2
dude.
months seems like to kill that son of a bitch. I ran all over that damn planet shooting that thing.
And it would have been great if I could have joined you. But
Yeah.
multiplayer didn't exist then. But it's there now. We should jump in one of these days and give it a shot.
We should, if we can. Yeah, we should go destroy a planet.
That'd be fun.
Just,
Yeah, I guess you
land
can-
on it and destroy it.
You got freighters now. You can make bases and on the planets. You can claim the planet and build you can go back to it basically. And
That's one thing I always pissed me off about, because like you would find a really good planet, but you always have to keep pushing forward. And you never could save the planet you wanted to go back to. I was like, God,
and you
dang
never
it, this is
know.
stupid.
It would have been cool to get an indicator like, hey, someone was at your planet and they saw your animal.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
I mean, if you go there, I
So
I
and so
spent
land on your
so
planet
much
today.
time.
Here's X amount of resources they gathered. That'd be badass.
Yeah, I
Whatever
mean,
planets you claim,
you just
they
get a
landed
status
on, and
report.
You get a percentage of their assets that they gathered. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, because I mean, you and I put a lot of hours into that game, and I remember going in there and spending a lot of time naming each individual animal every time I scanned something. And I had my son tell me, I was like, what do I want to name this? And he'd just throw out a word, and I'd name it that. I spent time
that's
typing
what
it
we were
in.
doing.
And that stupid PlayStation, keypad, you're over here just plugging away. I spent a lot of time doing it, and then finally one day I was like, no one is ever going to either see this or let me know they saw it, so what's the point? And
Yeah,
I
no.
slowed down, and then it became A, enter. A, enter. Everything became that because I knew it didn't matter. Eventually now it does, because now you can go back there, but I was naming, this is a really cool planet, writing them
Yeah, I
down,
named
taking
quite
notes.
I think I named all my planets. I didn't name all the animals, but I know I named all the planets. My daughter helped me name a bunch of the animals, though. But going back in there now and be able to go back to your planet, that's pretty badass.
Oh yeah, big time. So we have a big day tomorrow. August 28th is, I'm pulling it up now as we speak, but we have some really big games coming out tomorrow. First and foremost, like I said earlier, Firewall 0 Hour. That one launches tonight, midnight, and I got to double check to see if my auto downloads actually worked. But this game just, again, we've talked a lot about it on this podcast, so I don't want to get into too much detail. But I'm crossing my fingers that this game does everything it's supposed to for VR. I really hope that I can get in there, get good at it. One of the key things is the aim controller, which allows you to use your actual instincts to point and shoot rather than your fingertips. And I think, in just playing Farpoint and games like that in the VR with this controller, I felt very comfortable with it. I don't know. I don't know how I'll do in it. I'm interested to see, but I'm really excited about this. So Firewall 0 Hour comes out tonight. And in addition to
what else we got on the list?
We got Fire Pro Wrestling World, which looks so bad, man. I don't know. Maybe the gameplay is fun, but have you seen any video of this?
I'm not a big wrestling fan, bro.
See, I am, time to time. I got a buddy that's actually in the WWE right now. He's in the NXT. Shout out to Todd, otherwise known as Hanson. But yeah, it's this game right here looks like a arcade version of a game from 1992.
Dang.
Made for PS4. So the videos that I've seen and the gameplay almost looked like a joke. Like, is this really a game coming out? It could be good. I have no idea. Because I remember playing like WrestleFest at the Hampton Beach up in New Hampshire when I was a kid. I threw a lot of quarters into that thing. It looks a lot like that style. But on a PlayStation 4, you're paying good money for this stuff. I don't know. I just don't know.
I don't need my graphics to be on their A game.
Yeah. Another game coming out is Apex Construct, which is coming out August 28th for PlayStation VR. That one looks pretty good. Had a demo out there. I don't know if it's my game, but it looks good, and I think it'll pull some sales. Let's see what else we have on this list.
Yeah, all I'm waiting on is Spider-Man, dude.
Wow, man, we got a couple, not too long.
We got a couple weeks.
Okay, here we go.
September 7th, right?
Yes, September 7th. So tomorrow we have Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate coming out on the Switch.
I want to download that.
Pro Evolution Soccer, which is something that a lot of people play. It's the 2019 version.
It's big hit, believe it or not.
Yeah, not my style, but I know that a lot of people will play that. Let's see. I'm not going to call out any of these crap games or lower tier games, but yeah, I mean, I think the Firewall game coming out is the big one. But we also have Torn, I believe, comes out tomorrow on PSVR, and I'm going to look one more place just to make sure that I'm catching them all, because I thought that tomorrow had a bunch of games.
Sure, it's like Pokemon, man. You got to catch them all.
You got to catch them all. Let's see.
My buddy
Creed?
Eddie Ron still plays that game. That's crazy. But I played the hell out of that game, man, with the kids.
You were doing all that geolocating and stuff, weren't you?
My son actually just downloaded on his phone, and he started catching them again. But we caught a ton of Pokemon on my phone when we lived in Illinois. We used to go out all the time walking down the streets just catching Pokemon. So I think I'm going to download on my phone again and start catching them.
Yeah, man, you can get sucked into that. I actually got some exercise walking around trying to find all the different Pokemon in my area. No,
man, we used to catch Pokemon in Maryland together, didn't we? Me and you?
Yes, we did. Yeah.
Yeah, we'd be at the freaking
Remember we went to Six Flags
Kilt catching Pokemon.
That's right. What's there now? Because that place got shut down. Tilted Kilt got shut down here too, not too long ago.
What's in that place now, man? At the Tilted Kilt. I can't remember now, but I know it got shut down and they moved something else in.
I feel like something's wrong when that business just starts shutting down all its major spots. I mean, they had just put that Tilted Kilt in. Didn't remember we went and they had to delay the opening because they were waiting for high school to get out so that they could get more waitresses.
That was the most disturbing thing I've ever heard in my life. That was disturbing.
Crystal and I went with Jagger and Wesley on opening night, and we just had a pretty funny experience that
It's pretty sad. You have to push back the opening date a few more days so high school can let out, so you can have waiters. That's pretty rough.
But that's where we watched UFC 200 together. It was one of the first times you and I hung out.
Yep.
And yeah, that was always a good time. So I miss going there with you.
Oh yeah, that was a good time.
I can't wait till next week to tell y'all how Firewall is and some of these other games. I can't wait to hear the feedback on the PSVRlife. I definitely was able to get a shout out towards the end there, the last few minutes of the episode. Dantha let me talk a little bit about the podcast. So if you get a chance, check out that podcast. Feel free to jump in and listen. I referenced the podcast at the beginning and the end of that episode, and we had a lot of good discussion. Like I said, we went on for almost 2 hours talking about VR games and stuff and the state of VR and what we expect, what we hope to see. So it's definitely worth a listen. That guy has been doing VR podcasts for 88 weeks and counting. He's looking to get to 100. So if we can help him, hey, let's do it.
And hit us up too on Discord and our Facebook page, our Twitter account, our website. Give us your guys' feedback as well. Any topics you guys want us to cover?
I have a challenge. For our listeners, because I know a lot of our listeners are literally just our close friends and whatnot, and we're growing like we always talk about. But the challenge is, okay, I've looked at a bunch of different podcasts, gaming podcasts and whatnot in Apple iTunes, and many of them have between 10 to 30 reviews. We're up 6 or 7. We don't have a ton, but we've only been around for a couple of months. I would love to see that number go up. So it doesn't take a whole lot. Just go to the iTunes store. If you have iTunes on your computer or if you're using an Apple iPhone, I see about 50% of our listeners are using an iOS device, an Android device. I'm sorry. Yeah, 50% are using Android. The other 50% are using Apple. So just go rate us. I mean, you click the star. That's all you got to do.
Just click the star. Give us a star. Come on.
Yeah, please. And if you're not clicking the star, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't want to beg, but I'm begging here. Click the star.
Yeah, give us some kind of review. We need it.
But yeah, give us some feedback too. Even if it's, I'm not going to say please put negative out there, but give us some feedback in the.
We'll take criticism.
Yeah, type it out. Say, what do you think about the podcast? Be honest, and let other people know, because that's the only way we move up on the rankings in iTunes. We could be one of the most famous podcasters out there, but if people aren't rating and reviewing us, the sites don't move us up. So we only need to get to 15 to be higher than most people. Most podcasts don't even get 10 ratings. So we can get 15 ratings. I'm also asking 9 people to go there and just click on the star, whatever rating you want to give us. 5, whatever rating you want to give us. And
5.
Yeah. And then type out something, great stuff or needs work, whatever you want to put. But give us some feedback.
That'd be great. That'd be fantastic.
Website's going strong. I'm posting some news and stuff. I am going to get into reviews, and I talked to one of my friends, Darren. I'd love to. He's a very good writer, and he's a video game enthusiast. So he might be putting some of his own types of reviews on our website to add some content. And Joe, I was going to tell you as well, if Adam or anybody wants to get in there, I can set them up with a login, and they're welcome to do some reviews. I want to get some positive stuff on our website to get people going there. So we're going to start doing some video game reviews there. It's definitely long overdue, but now that we have all the other stuff kind of settled down, we got the audio settled down, we got the website up and running, we got the new Anchor FM hosting us, which is fantastic. That site, Joe,
they're already moving us up the board,
Yeah, they are. I mean, they've been so far. They've been so helpful. I've been actually one-on-one talking with one of the support staff there, just trying to get everything going. They put us on like 12 different sites already.
Our reviews have already went up way more than we were on the other one.
Oh yeah, just in the last couple of days, we've had over 150 or 120. Let me see. I can refresh it right now. 130 lifetime plays, and we've only been on this site for 2 or 3 days. So that's triple what we were seeing over at podcasts.com.
We're moving on up.
We are. And if you're interested in doing your own podcast, Anchor FM is definitely seems to be the place to go. It's free to get started, and they have some great stats and stuff like that. So check us out, anchor.fm/The Backlog Exposed. You can also listen to our latest episode on thebacklogexposed.com. When you go there, there's a player at the top. You can click on that and just start listening.
Oh, yeah.
What else you got for us, Joe?
That's it for me, Kevin. I think I'm good for today.
Yeah,
Until
me
next
too,
week.
man. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, always great talking to you. Until next time, I'm Kevin,
I'm Joe,
and this is
the Backlog Exposed.
Thank you.